Thank you for tuning in to yet another special edition of the VULCAN Report. This report is being done a day before the elections on Monday, November the 7th, 2016. The title of this video is How to Rig an Election. It's a video that I didn't want to have to do, but I have gotten numerous requests to deal with the subject matter. People are scared, people are frightened, people are afraid, they're confused, they don't know what's going on, they don't know how it's going on. And even as I record this video, the Dow was up 344 points. CNBC is reporting that the reason for the upsurge in the Dow is because the FBI decided that they were going to leave Hillary Clinton alone. That's right, letting her go, dropping all the charges and investigations and all that good stuff. So things are going according to plan. The stock market, according to CNBC, likes Hillary. All right, they like her to win. So they're letting you know that the charts, the markets, are saying that Hillary is going to win. I told you long ago that Hillary was going to win. I also told you that they created the perfect candidate to run opposite her, which is Mr. Trump, to all but ensure that she got elected. So sticking with the theme and the title of this video, How to Rig an Election, let's get into the meat of exactly how to rig an election. Step 1. You rig an election without rigging an election. You must first hack into the minds of the public. How do you do that? You create doubt and uncertainty with the electoral process. So you see things like this, and you begin to see things like this, and then you begin to see things like this. Yes, it is a fact that the electronic voting machines can be hacked. As a matter of fact, special reports have been done on how secure are local voting machines. Dun, 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 dun. You are inundated with this nonsense. Let me be the first to tell you that the voting machines are not hacked. They are not hacked. Quite the opposite. The voting machines are pre-configured, just like the slot machines in Vegas. They are already pre-configured or calibrated for a certain outcome based on algorithmic variables that will all but predetermine and select when and how often the machine will give off a winner. So in creating the voting machines, and I speak on authority here, it is possible to already predetermine the outcomes on the back end of the machine and the front end of the machine. Of course, the voter is totally blind to this because all you know is you push buttons and it confirms that you've done what you've done, and then you go ahead and you step out. But then once you finish the process, the machine goes in and can self-correct and change those outcomes. That's rigging on the front end. Rigging on the back end is after all the votes are calibrated. You can go in with the push of a button and reconfigure and calibrate those votes. So you have the same number of votes that come out for the machine, they check off, but who the people voted for has been switched. Now, it is a fact that these voting machines come with a back door. That was part of the deal that they made, that the makers of the machines made with the federal government, so that the federal government had access to these programs. How do I know this? Because I actually spoke with one of the makers of these machines, and this was some years ago back, and I want to say '07, early '07, late '06, early '07, around the holidays there, around the Christmas. So it had to be like Christmas '06, I believe, or '07, one of those, I can't remember, but it was between '06 '07 anyway. And it was a local guy, and they were, they just got the government contract to create these machines for certain jurisdictions, things of that nature. And we had a nice long talk, and yes, he was extremely nervous about the whole idea. He thought it was very, very strange and odd that the government would have them create these back doors in the voting machines. Yes, what I'm telling you is factual. All right, it's how it is. You don't have to like it, but you do have to deal with it. Let's move on. As we look in news stories, it has already been proven that in certain jurisdictions, the voting machines were able to flip certain votes to other votes. As I just finished telling you, this is a fact. Any kind of basic research, you will be able to find this information. It's not hard to see how the machine itself, it's not hacked, it's just predetermined or pre-calibrated and coded in, with algorithms to do this. It's designed to do this, okay? And it also has a back door so the government can go in and do this too. You just need to understand this and know that this is a fact. So, where do we go from here? Well, we just finished going over how you rig an election from the electronic aspect of things. But I'm here to tell you that it's way more sophisticated than that, and they don't even need to use the electronic aspect. That's the fall. That is the fall, the fail-safe measure if all else fails. But they'll never have to really use it because of what we're about to get into next. Step one in rigging an election, as I stated, is to first hack into the minds of the American people. How do you do this? It's several layers, several methods, several different ways. One of the ways you do that is to confuse the issues. You create a script that focuses on non-essentials to take their minds away from those things that are essential. One of the ways that they do this is with this situation. You discredit the candidates that you want to be made invisible. Here's a clip, and you can research this from the Conan O'Brien show, and he's mocking Gary Johnson. So automatically making him look like a non-issue, a non-candidate, a non-factor. By doing this, he's easily dismissed early on so that you don't have to focus on him later. So they hit the ground running straight out of the gate. Beginning of the year, long before the election. That if you went on the street today, the day before November the 8th, and just interviewed the average person on the street and said, can you tell me the candidates who are running for president? And it was, oh, that's easy. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Wrong answer. That's not the only people running for president. That is not the only names on the ballot. They don't know because you have hacked into the minds of the people. You started the process in the beginning, all right, by marginalizing the other candidates so that at the end of the day, the only candidates you're left with is a Republican and a Democrat. And the people are okay with this. Have you heard any outcries? No, you haven't, because the people are okay with it because they don't realize what has happened to them. In that marginalization process, the next thing you do is you ignore the non-essential candidates out of existence. And one of the ways you do this is that you don't let them onto the debate. How is this even possible? possible or legal or moral. This is nothing more than interference in the electoral process. And there's no public outcry. This man was not even allowed on the stage with all you saw was Hillary and Trump, two candidates, to the point where the average American citizen would have thought there's only two candidates that's running for president, and that's Clinton and Trump. This dude's name was not even mentioned. Why? Why not? Because they're hacking into the minds of the people. You want to marginalize the threats out of existence, ignore them totally so that the people will forget about them. The next step within this same process is you bring on professors that are bought and paid for and other political scientists that are bought and paid for to tell you that if you vote for anyone other than a Republican or a Democrat, that you're wasting your vote, and the person that they want you to hate the most, they scare you into saying you're going to elect this person and they're going to kill you and eat your children. All right? That's part of the hacking the minds of the American public so that you can rig the election. Are you following with me now? Are you seeing the way this process is working? Let's move on. Not only do you ignore the candidate, but the next step is to ignore the candidate in the media and ignore anything positive about the candidate that's coming from the American people. Here we have lowriders for Johnson, 2016. So the American people are saying we are for this. This is who we want. This is our man for office. Okay? The man on the street is saying, I want this. The media is ignoring it. Now that you've seen the first processes and how to rig an election, now we're going to look into why they need to rig an election. First thing, let's see what Mr. Johnson is standing for. He wants to liberate the 99%. Wants to end the drug war and mass incarceration. He wants to fight the financial cartel. Those last two bullet points is enough to get him shot and assassinated. God forbid. Ending the drug war means that he wants to put an end to the pharmaceutical industry, and he wants to put an end to the rotten healthcare system. The mass incarceration, he wants to destroy the prison industrial complex. Also, in fighting the drug war, ending that, he's going against the military industrial complex. Two very powerful, scary organizations. The next one at the bottom, fighting the financial cartel, well, he's saying that he wants to now do away with the Federal Reserve and the whole central banking schematic, the wickedness of it, the way it's set up. Again, that's enough to get you Kennedyized quickly, JFK'd quickly. But this is his platform that he's standing on as a libertarian. Smear campaigns continue, but let's look at more what he stands for. I like this one. Most Americans are libertarians. They just don't know it yet. A fiscally conservative and socially liberal president. There you have it. Let's look at some more. How about this piece here? While a strong argument can be made that the government should in fact get out of the business of defining and licensing marriage, the reality is that state and federal laws grant hundreds of benefits and privileges to married individuals. The Supreme Court's ruling ensures that the government can no longer discriminate against same-sex couples in granting those benefits and privileges. That's a great victory for individual freedom and equality. You have to understand, okay, he's saying that he's for individual freedom and equality under the law. All right, he's not coming to you as a theologian and a biblical scholar. He's just saying as far as the role of government, and he has a very strong and a good point. All right, we're not going with biblical arguments. We're not looking at that. We're talking from a government perspective. All right, that's it. And liberty, liberating the people from tyranny. That's what this is about. All right. Instead of big government, small government. Here's another one. Vote for Gary Johnson if you want no government. He does not want no government. That is not what he is saying. Vote Gary Johnson if you are a Christian who believes that people should be homeless and die without health care or welfare or minimum wage. Okay, this is a really bad smear campaign to marginalize the threat so that he can be ignored out of existence. First of all, Christians, a born-again, Bible-believing Christian or follower of Christ, we won't get into the semantics of that and the history of that word. Just suffice to say that they're attacking people who believe that the Bible is divine rather than human in origin. And they're saying that that's what people who follow the scriptures believe, which is patently false, not true at all. It's actually a twist and a play on words. First of all, no one, I don't know anyone. I don't even know straight up Satanists who believe that everyone should be homeless. All right, people, that's ridiculous. All right, the next thing, that people should die without health care and welfare and minimum wage. That doesn't even make any. That whole thing. That is ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense. What are you saying? That sounds ridiculous. First of all, if you're dead, none of that stuff can help you anyway. All right. If you're dying, that can't help you either. All right. I don't know anyone on their deathbed who ever said, "I need more health care. If only I had more welfare. If only I could have gotten a minimum wage." No. All right, that's not what people who are dying care about. So this whole thing is ridiculous, and it's meant to scare you. All right, the underlining current of this smear ad is saying that if you vote for him, he's going to take away these things from you, and you won't have health care, and you won't have welfare, and you won't be able to get a minimum wage. All right, they're scaring you, and it's a play on words. That's not what is. That's not true. That's not what the libertarian argument is for. The libertarian argument is for getting government out of the way so that you won't even need welfare and you won't need a minimum wage. See, but we'll get into that later. But just understand the way the mind hack works. All right, moving on. Here's what it boils down to. This is your choice. 2 dishonest, bought and paid for big government cronies who will use government to enrich themselves, or 2 honest, fiscally responsible, socially tolerant, 2-term governors who will represent the people. All right? We're going to have to break this down some more, so we'll get into part 2 on this, since YouTube limits how long videos can be. I wish I could go on and finish this in one thought, but I'm going to have to continue. So part 2 coming up.